Many Democrats are hoping the party will replace President Biden and get some young blood in the race, prompting one contender to get a transfusion from local orphans.
I bet Bill has not had a good night's sleep for years. I mean, that's why he aged so badly.
Yeah.
You know, like, a lot of people don't know this. Bill Clinton is only 37 years old. A lot of people don't know that. But she's just evil. Like, there's nothing like her.
Why would she even tweet that? Like, don't you have
I think she just sits around in her evil lair. Whenever she runs out of Eye of Newt and Small Children to Boil, she then goes to X and just says whatever.
Hillary Clinton has attempted for years to portray each political failure as a victory, but when Tyrus and Greg Gutfeld intervene, that impression is soon shattered. They ignore the justifications, assertions, and stories she has developed over the years. The picture begins to shift as they disassemble it. What seemed to be a clear route is no longer the same. It seems more like privilege presented as an inheritance than earned accomplishment. It's difficult to ignore once seen this way. Ultimately, her narrative no longer seems like a victory. It sounds like a string of failures that have been recounted to sound different.
Registered voters said any Republican would be better than President Biden, prompting one woman to legally change her name to NE Republican.
Every time she talks, you kind of get why Bill did what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, it's kind of like, again, I don't condone, cheating, but that's your morning.
Yeah.
You gotta kiss that before you go to bed at night, and then you gotta sleep with one eye open.
Yeah.
Because your buddy Epstein didn't.
Observing Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus go on Hillary Clinton is like seeing professionals demolish a precarious edifice that has endured for years. Less of that polished image is left with every point they make. She is no longer seen as only a political person. Rather, she stands for an elite certainty that many doubt, more akin to entitlement masquerading as destiny. Her career may resemble a single lengthy scene if politics had a blooper reel, a constant stream of self-assurance that flows directly into reality.
That's good.
This might be, in my opinion, the worst thing she's ever said. Because we know New York City subways. Kids don't take the subway.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you do, you're like, whose kid is that?
Yeah, there are men on there who set fire to women. But she's pretending that the people that are trying to reduce crime, that are doing it for themselves, because she's only used to doing things for herself.
If you're like this portion, you may want to click the bell and subscribe as it becomes more intense. The harsh reality about Hillary Clinton is that for a large portion of her life, she seemed to think that her position at the top was inevitable and that greatness was already assured. However, reality didn't go as planned. She lost one of the most significant contests in modern history, despite having enormous resources, solid media support, great connections, and a husband with a reputation for political acumen. More than simply a setback, her 2016 loss to Donald Trump severely damaged her reputation. Her message sometimes sounded like, "Because I said so," as Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus laugh. To be honest, it may have landed almost exactly the same.
So, Aaron, that was Hillary at a talk in Manhattan earlier this month. When Martha, is that her name? Margaret Hoover asked her that question about what do you have. It was a beautiful dig. Did you see Hillary? Like, what advice would you give to the first woman president? And it's like it's not you, Hillary. It's not you. Whoopsie poopsie.
Seldom does Greg Gutfeld give Hillary Clinton a free pass. He often refers to her as the queen of forced authenticity, someone who makes a concerted effort to seem relevant yet leading a life that is far disconnected from reality. Critics point to moments like Hillary Clinton's hot sauce comment as examples of what they saw as awkward attempts to appear relatable. They argue these efforts sometimes reinforced a perception that she was disconnected from the everyday experiences of many voters and overly focused on political ambition.
Hillary Clinton argues Joe should be, quote, direct and forceful, end quote, against Trump in the CNN debate. Yeah, direct and forceful, just like the noose I put around Epstein's neck. If I did it. if I did it.
Hillary Clinton is likened by Greg Gutfeld as a dismissed employee who continues to attend meetings as if nothing had changed. She keeps coming back with new books, podcasts, and embarrassing Netflix appearances regardless of how often voters move on. Her inability to acknowledge that her political chapter has already ended gives the impression that she is trapped in a loop. She seems to be acting long after the performance is over, waiting for unfulfilled applause. She seemed to be yearning for an encore that no one requested, despite the fact that the curtain dropped years ago.
Hell no!
She's back like a sore on a porn star's lip.
Ew.
Complaining on X about Trump cleaning up D.C., she says, quote, on one hand, Republican officials call themselves war fighters. On the other, they become whiny.
Critics, however, often highlight instances like as Libya, where her treatment of Muammar Gaddafi is still associated with the turmoil that followed. She also supported the famous Russian reset, which collapsed when Vladimir Putin adopted a drastically different strategy. Tyrus and Greg Gutfeld portray Hillary Clinton as highly ambitious and concerned with shaping her legacy. They argue that her career illustrates that political success depends on more than historic milestones and suggest it serves as a caution against assuming electoral victory is guaranteed.
President Joe Biden has advanced prostate cancer. I'm sure the announcement had nothing to do with the recently released Her audio and the bombshell book about his cognitive decline. Just like I think how Yoko Ono had nothing to do with the Beatles breaking up. Yeah, and that rash I got had nothing to do with my weekend at the Mustang Ranch. After hearing the news of Biden's cancer, Hillary Clinton posted, quote, wishing you a speedy recovery and let me know.
Greg Gutfeld often draws attention to the irony of Hillary Clinton's narrative. She never quite achieved that metaphorical glass ceiling, in his opinion. Despite having great aspirations, she often provoked opposition rather than creating long-lasting momentum. According to the theory, many people simply stopped voting when they believed that their support was expected rather than earned. Tyrus contributes to this by depicting her as someone clinging to the influence of the past rather than as a budding star. Her tale as unresolved political business is a recurring theme in her publications, speeches, and media appearances. However, behind the polished exterior, it may seem like the same story is being repeated again, attempting to make the significance of yesterday equal to that of today.
The White House says no classified information was involved. There's still no word if they'll return to Joe Biden's preferred form of communication. Hillary Clinton weighed in on the Signal story, saying, you gotta be kidding me.
The image seems obvious by the time Tyrus and Greg Gutfeld complete their take. They believe that Hillary Clinton will be remembered as a politician who had every advantage, connections, experience, and opportunity, but failed at the crucial juncture rather than as a near success. They contend that rather than greatness, her legacy is a reflection of confidence meeting reality. They see it as a magician attempting to maintain an illusion as the audience gradually becomes disinterested until the show breaks down and people start to leave.
And the only member of The View not vaccinated for canine distemper kicked things off by asking Hillary what will happen if Trump is reelected, which is odd because Hillary's an expert on not getting elected. I wonder, does she think it would end our country as we know it?
I think it would be the end of our country as we know it. And I don't say that lightly. You know, I hated losing, and I especially hated losing to him because I had seen so many warning signals.
In the past, it was generally anticipated that Hillary Clinton would be recognized as a political trailblazer, supported by significant resources, media backing, a strong political network, and a well-known name. Hillary Clinton's 2016 loss remains a defining part of discussions about her legacy. Critics argue it exposed deeper issues of strategy and public trust, while supporters continue to point to her advocacy for women, the middle class, and international cooperation. Despite those efforts, opinions about her remain deeply divided.
Arc Air is designed specifically to prioritize dogs. The problem is they all want to fly with their heads out the window. Adorable, but dead. In Washington, D.C., the giant grocery chain has announced a ban on large bags. Great, now where will I shop? Complains one large bat.
In the end, detractors contend that Hillary Clinton lost not because the nation wasn't prepared for a female president, but rather because a large number of people were fed up with being addressed in a manner that sounded aloof or superior. According to Greg Gutfeld, her tale demonstrates entitlement rather than empowerment, implying that she saw the presidency as a given rather than something that had to be achieved. They find it noteworthy that she still hasn't come to terms with the reasons for her defeat, often citing the media, Russia, voters, or other events. However, detractors claim that the explanation has become less plausible with time and that her political demise seems to be more the product of repeated decisions than of pure bad luck.
Warning signals that you were gonna lose? Well, too bad you didn't bother to visit the states you ended up losing, you potato-shaped wine bag. But would he even be worse now?
I think that he'd be even worse now because he was somewhat restrained, believe it or not, in the first term by people who he hired because he thought they would go along with.
Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus's criticism is often seen by those who agree with them as sharper-edged direct comedy. They contend that efforts to portray it as progress don't always succeed, and that Hillary Clinton created a feeling of political inevitability that eventually shattered when results didn't meet expectations. From this angle, the narrative becomes less about a particular election and more about how arrogance may be mistaken for confidence. This viewpoint's proponents present it as a more comprehensive lesson on political elitism and legacy, speculating that the disparity between public perception and image may grow over time.